to see a new baby, which is very exciting. I thought I would turn this into like a little book trip, so that's what I'm doing. I got a bunch of books from the library, and uh, they all ended up being sad books. Apparently, that's what I do. But okay, so my standard for a flight thing is like I want to start with a good book. So I grabbed all these books from the library, and the night before the flight, I'm just gonna start this book to see if it's good or if I'm gonna want to be stuck with it on a plane. And it was called A Well-Trained Wife. Let me look up the author. So it's called A Well-Trained Wife, My Escape from Christian Patriarchy by Tia Levings, and I actually ended up just reading the whole thing in one night because it was really engaging. I don't know if I liked it. I'm still kind of chewing on it. I'll put a picture. No, over here. This is a good place for a picture of the book. I got it from the library, and it had a lot of, terrible. There was rape, abuse, like children were in danger, and I just like obviously I feel for this woman and her family, and I'm glad she was able to escape, and I'm happy that she's written about it so other people can also escape. But I'm also just kind of like, I've read this story before. I've read all these stories before. How does this keep happening? Like, do I want to read the same story over and over again about like women being trained to be abused and then having to like escape that only after losing years of their life and having 5 children? Like, it's just, how is this still happening? Like, how often are we going to get the same book about this? I will say it was really well written. It was harrowing. If you have any issues with reading stuff like that, I don't think you should read it. But I don't know. I'm still chewing on that. My flight also got delayed, so I finished a second book at the airport, also from the library. It's called The Guest Lecture by Martin Riker, and I loved this book. I hadn't heard of it before. It was just like a random grab at the library, and I picked it up because it's about academia. Let me read you the little synopsis. In a hotel room in the middle of the night, Abby, a young feminist economist, lies awake next to her sleeping husband and daughter. Anxious that she is grossly unprepared for a talk she is presenting tomorrow on optimism and the famed economist John Maynard Keynes, she has resolved to practice by using an ancient rhetorical method to assign parts of her speech to different rooms in her house, and has brought along the comforting, albeit imaginary, companion to keep her on track, Keynes himself. So it's a woman in academia, which is something I love to read about. The whole book takes place the night before she has to give this speech. And so she's lying awake next to her family and just thinking. And through that, as like the device that the story is told, like, we learn a lot about economics. She talks about work and life and like Donald Trump and politics and the end of the world and climate change, but also like being sad about the tiles in your house and all of those things, and like being a woman in friendships. And it was so good. It was so good. I was shocked that it was written by a man, not because I know men are very good at writing books. Men are great at writing books, of course. It's just, it's rare for me to read a woman so well written by a man. I really loved this book. I had never heard of it. I've never heard of anyone talking about it. If any of that is interesting to you, get a copy. Honestly, it reminded me of Sophie's World. I'll put a picture here. So Sophie's World I read when I was like 12, and it's a girl. Oh god, I don't even it's a similar, it reminded me so much. In Sophie's World, she's like learning philosophy, and so the reader is also learning philosophy, but it's told as a story about learning who you are. And when I was 12, I was really impressed with Sophie's World, and I loved it. And I read it again, I think, when I was like 20 or 21, and I did not find it as good as I did when I was a child. This book, The Guest Lecture, it just felt like that, a similar idea, but just so much improved, to learn about economics, kind of. It was really, really good. I really enjoyed that, and I flew through it while my flight was delayed, just waiting. The other two books I brought, I have Paul Shear's memoir, Joyful Recollections of Trauma, and I grabbed this one. I like Paul Shear. I listen to the How Did This Get Made podcast a lot when I'm trying to sleep. And so I thought this would be funny, and I put it in as my reading now in Goodreads, and the reviews were like, this is devastating. And so I don't know. I thought this one would be the fun one. I don't know if I want to read more childhood trauma, but we'll see. I also brought Notes on an Execution by Dania Kukafka, and I've heard great things about this. It's the story of a man who has committed crimes and is on death row, but it's told through like the women in his life. I think I have not opened this yet, and I heard great things about it and how it makes you feel about the death penalty and like people's lives, events that happen, and who's to blame and if there's blame and redemption, I think. So it also seems kind of depressing. So we'll see. I don't know why I picked so many depressing books this time, but yeah, that's what I have going. We're gonna stay on this side of the river. I'm gonna go to Newport. There's a bookstore and a coffee shop called the Road I'm gonna check out. And then I'm gonna go to Half Price Books. I don't think there's a Half Price Books in Massachusetts, and I love Half Price Books. At least I haven't seen it. I guess I could search for one. I drive all around. I haven't seen Half Price Books. So I'm gonna go to Half Price Books and buy some books. But I also want to see if they have any good records. I have gotten into physical media, so I've been buying records, and they're very expensive on eBay, and so it might be fun to see if they have anything good. Yeah. So.
In less than 24 hours, you will have $1,000 in your account, and then $1,000 daily for the rest of your life, all with just
I thought I might give you the view out of my hotel room. There she is. We're staring at Cincinnati. I think this is the Kentucky side. Yeah, you can see the sign maybe. It says this way to Cincinnati. Anyway, I love being in Kentucky. I love Kentucky. I'm so excited to be here. That's all I have to say about that. So I'm here on day 2 in northern Kentucky. Still really excited about being in Kentucky. It's like 8:30 right now. I thought because it's super dark and gloomy outside, but I had the blackout curtains down, and so now they're up. I'm on the floor. This is good. Is this good? I don't know. Okay. So yesterday I hit up some bookshops, and I want to talk about what I picked. Okay. So first I went to Roebling Books, and I know I'm pronouncing that wrong because I posted a picture of what I bought on Blue Sky, and someone was like, "But do you pronounce it right?" So Roebling Books in Covington, I think, and it was so cute. It was a little coffee shop bookstore, but like in a house, kind of. So it had all the different rooms of all the different books, and they had a great selection, but it was like super curated. And I also got a pre-lit homemade latte that was delicious and very picky, and it was very good. What I picked were these 2 books. The first is called Kentucky Y'all, and it's just a celebration of people and culture in the bluegrass state. And I thought this would be really fun, but also it's signed by the authors, which I think is really cute. So I can read about, beer cheese and all the things Kentucky people do. So that's super fun. Gave me a cute little bookmark. Yeah. Big recommend on this bookstore. I also got this book I've never heard of called I Love Dick by Chris Cross. Oh, that's funny. Oh, they gave me a bookmark for both. That's cute. Okay, I'm going to read to you why I picked this book, because they had like the little staff picks section, which I do love. I always love to read those, and I always buy books from those because I'm easily influenced. So let me read to you what they said. Staff favorite, this is from Sid. It says, okay, so imagine the most embarrassing all-consuming crush or situationship you've ever had. Then imagine writing it all down and Cross did with I Love Dick, and I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, I'm sold. I'm excited to read this. I think this is going to be good. Apparently, it's like a cult, like 90s feminism classic. I've never heard of it. So I'm excited to read this. And this is what I love about like the small local bookstore. You know, someone is supporting this. So I'm excited about that. I also saw that they had a really nice like Palestine section, and I am on the hunt for 100 Years War in Palestine, and also Caste, which I think is about American, apartheid. But I didn't see either of those. I'm on the lookout for those. I am going to one more bookstore today, so maybe I'll find it. Yesterday I went to Half Price Books, which I also love. I don't think they have in Massachusetts, and I specifically wanted to look for some country music records, not related to books, but I did find one. I got Randy Travis. It was so great. When I look for country music records, it's often like only Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings, which is like good. I like those two artists. I have those two artists, but like give me some variety. So I was excited about this. And I also found the soundtrack to Sergeant Pepper's movie, which I was kind of excited about because Sergeant Pepper's is my favorite Beatles album. I know, I like the Beatles a lot, and they have obviously a lot of good albums. Sergeant Pepper's is my favorite. I love the whole concept. I love that you can just listen to it straight through. And here's my hot take. I don't think I'm good at music, and I have bad taste. So here's my hot take. Is this too embarrassing to put on the internet? Okay, don't get mad. My thing about the Beatles is that they're great. They're great musicians. They did like this great, beautiful, innovative type of music, and they're really creative, and it's really good. They're not the best vocalists, so like I'm gonna say you can unfollow me. Anyone doing the Beatles, I feel like I prefer that version. So the fact that this is all covered by the Bee Gees, Alice Cooper, Peter Frampton, like I'm really, really gonna like this. So that horrible movie that came out, the soundtrack of the Beatles covers, I thought was brilliant and great. I don't know. I feel the same way about the Eagles. Like the Eagles are just so boring. You get trapped into the Eagles, and I want to listen. So yeah, no one's following me for my music takes. So I also got two books at Half Price Books. The first is Joan Didion, The White Album. This is just a book of essays. I have 3 Joan Didions. I know I'm gonna love her, and I haven't read a single one, but this was a beautiful copy. And the thing about Half Price Books is it's like half price, so it's like $6, which is great. And no one's ever read this book, so it's practically new for me. I'm gonna read it eventually. I'll get to Joan Didion. And I also bought Consent by Vanessa Friedland. So this is a book about a French woman who, when she was 13, was in a relationship with an old, gross man. And she published this very recently, and it was like shocking in France because apparently this guy is just an open pedophile. Yikes.
You said
Yeah, so I'm interested in reading this. However, I was confused when I purchased this book because I was confusing it with another book called Consent by Jill Cement. Nope, actually I'm not here. In that book, she is also like a student, but she's like 18, not 13, like in this book. Wow. And she gets in a relationship with like a 40-year-old man, and they get married, and they have a life, and she kind of grapples with the idea of like, I was a child, but I had a happy life. Was this consensual? And I was really interested in reading that, and I thought this was that, but this is a different book, also titled Consent. What a different take on the topic, obviously, because this girl was 13. But I'm still excited to read this. Apparently, it was huge in France. Like, they even changed the age of consent law. Yeah, so I'm interested in reading that. Cool. I'm gonna check my phone. I don't think I need to talk about Half Price Books in the store. I think everyone's been to them. I think they're great. I really like them. You don't know what you're gonna get there. Like, you can't go searching for things, but like it's fun to just stumble upon things, I think. Okay, and the last store I went to yesterday was a Marvel books in Fort Thomas. And this was also very cute. They had a really big selection, but they also had a lot of interesting children's book I haven't seen. And room to room, just like teen to adult, they had a lot of fiction for teens and young adults, which I thought was really, really nice. It was really cute. Big recommend if you need to buy children's books. They didn't have what I was looking for, and I like to buy Oliver Jeffers. Like here you are, here I'll put a picture of it. It's this cute little book that you can one son about how you're here and you have to look out for everybody. Everybody's gonna look out for you, and like how you leave, there's also a huge line. It's really sweet. They didn't have that, so I got We Found a Hat by John Classic.
So, I'm being asked this a lot recently. What is my advice when it comes to the question, what is the best way right now to make a living online? And especially this is being asked by people who are looking to have the ability to better control their lives with things like how much money they can make, how much time freedom they've got. People are really looking to create a different lifestyle for themselves. Quite often it's geographical freedom, so they can live anywhere. And now more than ever, people are wanting to know how to thrive in tougher times like a recession. And I've been on podcasts, I've been interviewed about this stuff. And after 15 years of building online businesses, several income streams online, here's generally the advice I like to give. Take it or leave it. Number one, be prepared to put in some hard work up front. Okay, upfront work. Now this is
Also a great, sweet local community. I also got some more books for children. This one for a toddler. It's just things that go, and it's one of those ones. Oh, I don't know how to do it because I'm not a child. Oh, I was being too close with it. That kind of thing, which should be fun. And then I got two early readers, like just this is Malone. Yesterday that going into it, I didn't realize it was going to be actual trauma. Like 2 pages in, the stepdad like choked him, gets spanked publicly. It's devastating. It's terrible and sad. But it was weird reading it. Not to get too personal, as someone who had a similar childhood and did the whole like therapy thing, it seems like he hasn't like dealt with it. Like he's still in the stage of like, isn't this a crazy? I don't know. People who get abused as kids, they tell the story like it's like this crazy funny thing that happened, and people react with like shock and like pity. And he's still in the stage, I think, where he doesn't realize it's not funny. I don't know. It felt quite weird to read. It was like this was the early version, and maybe he would write a better book when he had I don't know, more space. Maybe. I don't want to pathologize people. I do listen to the How Did This Get Made podcast like a lot, so I had already heard most of the funny stories, which I think made the reading experience worse because I was just like, oh, I've already heard this story, and now I'm hearing just these traumatic, like terrible childhood abuse stories I don't necessarily want to hear. Yeah, I don't don't think I enjoyed it. Or like I don't like to rate people's memoirs. I don't know. Yeah, I wish I had brought some happier books, but no. So the next library book I have, if I have time to read a book today, is the Notes on an Execution. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe not. Yeah. Check the fit. It's like toddler. That's what I'm going for in my day-to-day life. Perfect. It's late on my last day here. I'm flying out tomorrow at 7, I think. So I have to leave Kentucky. I'm so sad about it. I love Kentucky. Oh my gosh. And northern Kentucky. I didn't even know it's great here. This is like an amazing place. There's so much stuff to do. I went to the last bookshop this morning. It was called The Hidden Chapter. And it's in Fort. There's so many cities here. It's near Covington. But it was very cute. It was like in a little downtown area. And the thing about this bookshop, The Hidden Chapter, is that it was themed. I feel like it was dark academia themed. Like it was really beautiful, and the book selections were also kind of dark academia themed. And it's a coffee shop, and also they do alcohol. I went at 9 a.m., so I got a coffee, but the coffee was really, really good, actually. I'm very picky. I think I've already said I'm really picky about coffee in this video, but sometimes you go to a place like that, you order a $4 coffee, and they hand you like a Keurig cup of coffee, and that should be illegal. But this was like a nice, wonderful drip coffee. It was really good. And I talked to the owner, and he said that it's a new bookshop that just opened in the last year, so you should check it out. It was really pretty. It was really cute, and it's like a used new mix, which I always find really interesting. And I got 2 books there. These are my last books of the trip. I got a book I've been looking for quite a while. It's The Secret History by Donna Tartt, and this is used, but it doesn't look like anyone's read this. I have really wanted to read Donna Tartt since I listened to her read the True Grit audiobook, and I think this is about academia. I don't really know, but I think it's about academia, which also makes me very interested. And also, a lot of people I really agree with on books have said that this is a really good book, so I'm excited to read this. And the second book I got is like a college textbook, I think. It's 3 plays by Aristophanes. It's on brand for me not to know how to pronounce that. And I had read Lysistrata, and I was talking about it with someone the other day, which is why I wanted to buy it. And it's also got Women of the Thesmophoria and Assembly Women. 2 plays I haven't read, and I'm really excited to actually read this. And I hope there's some good discussion on what it means. I'm excited to read this. I did want to read Lysistrata again, you know. Okay, so I did not read Notes on an Execution. Maybe I'll read it tomorrow at the airport. But so far, I think this is a very successful book trip. Like, got a lot of cool stuff, and I read most of the library books I bought, so that's exciting. We did it. I love Kentucky, so I'm so sad to leave now.
I call her boss, she call me boss, yeah, we run it thing, fuck what it costs, no matter the cost, just go get that thing, she saying to me, I'm a A-thing, girl you gon' see, you're my favorite way, I call her boss, she call me boss, yeah, we run it thing, fuck what it costs, no matter the cost, just go get that thing, she saying to me, I'm a A-thing, girl you gon' see, you're my favorite way. Girl, you cover me like the sun in that same day. No illusions, no flower blooming when you are away. You cook the greens, you make the greens. What more can I say? You feeling right, you stitch tag, you my very way. When we first got together, all the time was inseparable. And the type of girl you are, bullshit is unacceptable. Game is game, I have none, so I'm more reputable. I always speak truth when I'm telling you, you are so unbreakable. On a pedestal, my kind of girl. All of your problems, all of your fears, I will bring to my world. Push it down to a pearl, then bring it to yours. Hand you that ring, I'm completely yours. I call her boss, she call me boss. Yeah, we run the thing, fuck with the cars. No matter the cost, just go get that thing. She saying to me, I'm my everything. Girl, you gon' see, you're my Pharaoh way. I call her boss. She gon' be boss, yeah, we running things. Fuck with the cars, no matter the cost, just go get that thing. Saying to me, I'm her everything. Girl, you gon' see, you're my Pharaoh way. She'll never hesitate to come up to the office, yeah.
Rich people got the money too. Rich and all the can see. Okay, so end of vlog. I'm back at the end. So I think I went back to the airport and I said I was going to have notes on an execution, but before I do that, let me just do some honorable mentions to Northern Kentucky, which I loved. I've already talked about the bookstores; they were great. But I also went to this bar called Wonder Bar, and I got a doner kebab. And I don't Germans, if you're watching, answer this question. In Germany, they have doner kebabs, and they're delicious, and they're little sandwiches. And in America, they also have doner kebabs, but they're like pita sandwiches, and they're both good, but they're not the same. What's with that? Does anybody know why you can't get a German-style doner kebab in America? Anyway, Wonder Bar. The guy was so nice. I think we talked to the owner. He made the sandwiches. He was so nice. I love being in Kentucky where people are just kind. Like, people just talk to you. They're like kind to you. They want to see how you're doing. I think I might be struggling with Massachusetts lifestyle more than I thought. Because I also went to a yarn store. It was called Stitch Yarn Studio, and it's like your local yarn store. And I went in and I was like, I want to do this project. And the people there were so nice. The woman helped me pick yarn. She sold me the needles. She gave me some website recommendations. Just, it's not like you walk in a store and they just ignore you to your face. Big recommend on Stitch Yarn Studio in Covington if you're like a knitter or anything. If you're doing the fiber arts, it was really nice. Last thing, I did in fact read Notes on an Execution. This book I was talking about by Dania Kukanka. It was wonderful. It was a masterpiece. I don't know if I liked it. I don't know. I definitely recommend it. So Notes on an Execution is a story of a man who's getting executed, but it's also told from
less than 24 hours, you will have €1,000 in your account, and then €1,000 a day for life in just 5 minutes. Many people have already tested this method, and it's 100% safe. Now I will show you what has been achieved by those who only joined my team yesterday. Each of them earned more than €4,000. What's more, the average income was €8,000.
Kukafka.